a live look at the White House as well. We have been talking a lot about the Nobel Peace Prize as of late, and that's because President Trump has been campaigning for it in recent weeks. But overnight, we heard Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado won the Nobel Peace Prize. The rationale given for her winning the prize was due to her struggle to achieve a democratic transition in the South American nation, winning recognition as a woman who, quote, keeps the flame of democracy burning amid a growing darkness. Standing by to discuss is Daniel Martino. He's with the Manhattan Institute. Thanks for coming on. There was a lot of discussion about this Peace Prize, as I just mentioned. Before we get into this, I just think it's important to lay out who exactly Maria is, why she's getting this prize, and why she's important in Venezuela.
Well, Maria Corina Machado is really the leader of the opposition to the Venezuelan socialist regime that has ruled the country where I come from. I'm Venezuelan for 26 years. Maria Corina was herself my congresswoman, actually, when I still lived in Venezuela. And she was an early warner that socialism was going to destroy the Venezuelan economy. She challenged the late dictator Hugo Chavez herself. She ran for president. They barred her from running. And then she managed to prove that the regime was actually rigging the elections, something that she had been claiming for over 2 decades. And then she managed to prove that last year, after a heroic collection effort of every single evidence in every polling station and showing the actual results that were truthful of how people were voting. So it was truly an amazing achievement. And now she's in hiding in Venezuela, trying to overthrow the Venezuelan regime.
So tell me about, and tell our largely international audience about the political situation in Venezuela today. What is it that Machado has been fighting against?
Well, remember, this is a government that's been in power for 26 years. They control the military. They arrest everybody who's a dissident. If you even post things on social media and you live inside Venezuela, they may come for you. They will check your phone to see what you say, even on your private text messages to your friends, in police checkpoints. So they're a regime that increasingly doesn't tolerate any dissent. If you protest, of course, you will be arrested. You may be tortured. I know somebody who's been in prison. Her name is Maria Corina for over a year because she witnessed election fraud in last year's election. They went at night to her home and they kidnapped her, and she's in a torture center called El Helicoide in Caracas, which is not even where she's from. They took her to a very far away city. So this is what happens in Venezuela. It's a country that used to be the 4th richest country in the world, approximately in the 1950s. Now Venezuela has about 9 million refugees, the largest refugee crisis in the world. It's a country that welcomed millions of immigrants and now expels refugees. It's the country that has the largest oil reserves in the world and now has no gasoline, no electricity, no water because the socialist regime destroyed it.
So the Nobel Prize, there's an official account from the Nobel Prize. This is how they put it. In the past year, hashtag Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Corina Machado has been forced to live in hiding. Despite serious threats against her life, she has remained in the country, a choice that has inspired millions of people. When authoritarians seize power, it is crucial to recognize courageous defenders of freedom who rise and resist. Democracy depends on people who refuse to stay silent, who dare to step forward despite grave risk, and who remind us that freedom must never be taken for granted, but must always be defended with words, with courage, and with determination. How popular is her movement in Venezuela? Is there any reliable information out there that tells us that?
Yes. Well, it's overwhelmingly popular. The regime is overwhelmingly unpopular, right? They lost the elections by an incredibly large margin. Even among people who were forced, despite them forcing people to vote for them, all the government employees, the people they bribed with gifts, they didn't even get 30% of the vote. So this is a regime that is extremely unpopular. She's very high up in the polls, 80%, 90% up to of popularity inside Venezuela. If you count those of us who had to leave Venezuela, even higher, right? But we obviously are not counted inside the country, but we're Venezuelan too. So, she has done a tremendous job. And she dedicated her own award to President Trump, in large part because it is thanks to the president that now the Maduro regime is on its back because of the bombing of the boats, the narco boats in the Caribbean, the military presence in the Caribbean Sea, the sanctions that he reimposed that the Biden administration had lifted. So the president, like other political movements around the world that oppose the socialist regime of Venezuela, have been incredibly good allies. And I know that there's been controversy over, President Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize because of his work in the Middle East. And actually, I absolutely agree that President Trump deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. The issue is that this Nobel Peace Prize nomination was due in January of this year. So the accomplishments that are being considered for this award are accomplishments of last year. If you were going to nominate, as he has been, for the Peace Prize, President Donald Trump, it will be for 2026 Nobel Peace Prize.
And I know there's a lot of people that are curious about that. Thank you for clarifying. Daniel, I got to say, as somebody like yourself who's from Venezuela, if I may ask, when you talk to friends or families, close ones back home, and I'm curious about you yourself too, what is it like to live in Venezuela today?
Well, I can tell you that today, someone I know messaged me in private. She didn't comment in my post because I made a post on social media about the Nobel Peace Prize. And she doesn't make public comments anymore about politics because she's afraid that if she makes a public comment, even on a platform like Instagram, they will arrest her. So people are in fear of saying what they believe. So that is what it's like living there. It's also just being worried every day that and thinking about what you're going to eat the next day, what's going to happen with your water. Are you going to have water? Are you going to have electricity? All these basic needs that don't allow you to think long term, right, of what you're going to plan to do in your life. People don't think long term in Venezuela because they can't afford to.
And we very much appreciate you coming on today, giving us some insight. We are going to say goodbye to you, Daniel. We do have a lengthy letter here. Thank you for joining us. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This is a post from Machado herself. She says, the Venezuelan people have received this recognition from the Norwegian Nobel Committee with immense emotion and renewed hope. The greatest tribute to Alfred Nobel's legacy will be to secure the transition to democracy, conquer our freedom, and thus achieve peace. Venezuela will be free. By the way, you might remember this. The United States currently has a $50 million bounty on Nicolas Maduro. To put that in context, that is quite a bit more than the bounty that was on Osama bin Laden back in the day. Of course, there might be some inflation calculations that might need to be worked into that. Nonetheless, we did appreciate having Daniel on, and it's about time for us to head to our next break. I'm getting a couple of live feeds.